Hello and welcome to Daily Politics on Trust TV. On this program, we discuss issues around politics, policy and governance. I am Hamza Idris. May 1st every year is set aside to celebrate workers all over the world. This year, the celebration of the Nigerian workforce is coming on the heels of negotiations for a living wage the federal government under President Bola Tinubu promised during the 2023 electioneering. The Nigerian workers in some states of the Federation are managing with 30,000 naira minimum wage approved by the immediate past administration in 2019. In some states, however, 18,000 is still the minimum wage. This is at a time when the removal of fuel subsidy and floating of the naira by incumbent government triggered cost of living crisis that requires an upward review. While the outcome of the negotiations for increasing minimum wage by a tripartite committee of the government is being awaited, the federal government last night surprisingly announced a salary increase of between 25 and 35% across some salary structures. This development has thrown the workforce into confusion as to whether the offer is a wage award or the position of the government concerning the negotiation in the face of intense debate around the 516,000 living wage proposal by the organized labor. It is against this backdrop we'll be engaging some labor leaders in some states on the imperative of arriving at a living wage for the already pauperized civil servants. Happy Workers' Day, Nigerians. Now take a clip from the May Day celebration in Abuja.
I assure you that your days of worrying are over. Indeed, this government is open to the committee's suggestion of not just a minimum wage, but a living wage. I urge you and all our fellow citizens to place your trust in this administration. The seeds of greatness planted in our nation are beginning to bear fruits, and they promise a future filled with hope and bound by prosperity. Once again, let me assure you, with the utmost sincerity, that every initiative undertaken by this administration is geared towards transforming Nigeria into a nation that can truly provide for its people.
Nigeria looks up to us, and we must not fail. Consequently, the Nigerian Labour Congress and TUC have made it clearly and emphatically that should the minimum wage negotiation continue and linger till the end of May, we can no longer guarantee industrial harmony in this country. Our nation is facing challenges with centrifugal forces tightening their grip and citizens increasingly disillusioned with leadership. This disconnect has eroded civic ownership of governance, fueling calls for more efficient and responsive systems.
A nation unable to secure itself isn't ready for development. Economic growth hinges on insecurity. We can't ignore these existential issues. Investing in people secure the nation. It's time to prioritize the people for a secure and prosperous nation.
That was a highlight of the Workers' Day celebration here in Abuja. We now have in the studio an NRC secret comrade Dr. Muttaka Yusho, who joins us in the studio to discuss the May Day celebration and matters arising. Welcome to our studio.
Thank you very much. First, I'm Muttaka Yusho. I'm the head of education and training of the Nigerian Labour Congress.
Thank you very much. And is it Happy Workers' Day?
Happy Workers' Day.
Are you celebrating or are you actually lamenting?
Yeah, not only that, it's good to commemorate because you are commemorating a journey. You are commemorating struggles over decent working hours, over better working condition. Okay. But that will also give you an opportunity to push for more demand to better the world of work for the workers in Nigeria and globally.
All right, thank you very much. Earlier, I had a telephone conversation with the Lagos State Chairperson of the NLC, Comrade Funmi Sesi. Let's hear her. And joining us for the conversation tonight is the chairperson, Nigeria Labour Congress, NLC Lagos State Chapter, Comrade Funmi Sesi. She joins us via telephone from Lagos. Thank you for joining us and happy Workers' Day.
Thank you very much. I use this opportunity to congratulate all the workers in Nigeria and globally for today's Workers' Day. I say happy Workers' Day to all of us.
Yes, and how did the event went in Lagos? Was it actually a happy day, or actually, it was a day of maybe, asking questions, lamentations, and all that?
Yes, it's a mixed feelings everywhere, and Lagos State is not different from the situation in this country, despite the hardship, untold hardship that Nigerians are being faced with. Most especially the workers are the hardest hit by the fuel subsidy removal, which has escalated the prices of goods and services in the country. And every day the workers have to go to their places of work from Monday to Friday, sometimes extending to the weekends as well. So transportation has already gone up, the rent, the food that we eat, and virtually everything has escalated. And so the workers are the ones that are bearing the brunt. So the market people that are complaining out there, they shouldn't complain, because immediately the subsidy was removed, despite the fact that we don't have a new wage to match the situation on ground, the chaotic situation. People that are offering services, like market women, everybody outside there, even the communication giants, the DSTV, MultiChoice, the MTN, all of them, Airtel, they increase the cost of their services that they provide for us. So that is why we said that the workers are the one now that are at the receiving end. And that is why today we say people first. And that people that we talk about is not only the workers this time around, we also talk about, Nigerian citizens, that government should provide, a good governance for the people, because we are in democratic dispensation. And what does the democratic dispensation means? Is the government of the people, by the people, and for the people. If it is for the people, then the people first. People should be considered first in everything. In all the policies that the government want to bring out, people should be considered. People should not be pushed to the wall. And every time, the workers have to fight and fight and fight, just to get what they deserve. We are now fighting to get a living wage.
Okay, now in a word or two, what message did you deliver to Governor Sanwo-Olu in Lagos? What did you ask him?
The major message we delivered to the governor is that the 25% and 35% that was announced by the federal government as an increase in the salaries and in the wages of different sector of salaries for the workers, we rejected it in totality. We don't need it. Okay. The federal government will keep it. So what we are expecting, we are disappointed. What we are expecting to hear and the announcement that we were waiting for is a living wage. So if the government fails to announce a living wage for us, we don't deserve. What we deserve is more than the increment that the government has come out with. So we continue to struggle. We continue to, fight for what is just and what is right. We continue to talk, and when government wants a dialogue, we continue to dialogue. But for now, our message is that we are so disappointed with federal government, because the fiscal parastatals and the monetary policy agency, they are the one, and the tripartite committee that has been appointed to work on a new minimum wage, they have not been able to come up with anything reasonable, with any decision, because the labor side that are representing us in that tripartite side, they are crying every day that the government seems not to be ready. Government seems not to be serious. But now, if government now says that let us have an action, everybody will begin to say that yes, the opposition is sponsoring the labor against the government of the day. So government should do the needful. We don't need to start fighting. Government, times without number, the president has always promised that he will make the workers happy, he will make the workers proud, he will give a living wage. Is it the living wage he has given us now? with that announcement of the increment. We reject that. He should take it back.
Okay.
Keep it in his pocket.
Okay.
And
now,
give us a living wage. Aside from that one, there are millions of all other issues.
Yes, now considering what happened on the eve of the May at the center here in Abuja, will you start thinking that governors at their own level should start taking decisions? Because from all indications, nothing tangible will come out at the center.
Well, you know that we've always been saying it, that there should be decentralization of the government, because it looks as if this federation that we are practicing is not working. So there should be decentralization. So according to how your head is big, so you should be able to look for a cap that will fit your head. So if your head is small, size 22, size 33, size 21, so wear your cap as it fits your head. So we that are in Lagos, you know, we are in city, and we're asking for a city wage. So
okay. How much is city wage? How much is city wage, comrade? Yes. Assuming now the governor say, okay, tell me how much you think I should pay you in Lagos. What figure will you give him?
We made presentation during the sitting for the minimum wage. You know, the tripartite committee, yes. They went to the geopolitical zones.
Yes.
And they asked us to make a presentation. We did. But, you know, government can ask us, we can dialogue, we can talk. We can, you know, sit down and look for something that is very reasonable and something that could be workable.
Like how much? How much did you recommend it? Like how much did you recommend it?
I cannot sit here and that time we recommended 794,000 naira.
But is that realistic? Is that realistic, comrade? Or you just made the offer, yeah, so that you can go to negotiation table?
Excuse me, sir. There were some indices that we used to work out that. Even though if it is not is not achievable, we can always sit down, you know, and look at what could be achievable, you know. So we work it out due to indices that we see, and we know that this is what should be called a living wage for us. And if you also have to equate the 794,000 to dollars, how much is that? Calculate it and tell me how much it will amount in dollars. If you want to seek for visa to go to America now, they will ask you how much is your salary. They will ask you that times that in dollar, how much is in dollar? If you are earning less than $1,200 in a month, to them you are not comfortable. To them you are not qualified to go to their country. They will deny you the visa. So government should also be ready to do. They have already said that they are going to pay us a living wage. So let government do the ones that will make the people to be happy and, you know, give us a living wage. So okay. The indices that we look at the feeding, which has escalated out there. Now if you want to buy cooked rice, 1 spoon is 500 naira. So 2 spoons is 1,000 naira. So we work it based on the 1,000 naira for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. So even at that, it means that we are skipping protein from the meal, you know. So, and we also look at the rent. In Lagos, you cannot get 2-3 bedroom flats of 1 million naira every month again. Okay. Unless you are living in a rural place.
Okay, your final words now to both the federal and the state governors in less than 1 minute. What will be your advice to them?
My advice to federal government and the state government is that people are not happy. People are hungry. People are angry. People have been debased. Life is so hard and terrible. The situation in this country is chaotic and is stretching people beyond their limit. So the government should bring up policies that will look for how Nigerians will be happy. We are happy people. And everywhere they always say that Nigerians are happy. But these days, we are not, and that is why we are losing our respect in the committee of other nations.
All right.
They look at us and they don't give us respect. So government should do the needful. They should make the people to be proud of this country. To be praying for this country that they are happy and they are happy to be a citizen of this country.
All right.
Japa will stop when government do the needful.
All right. Thank you very much, Comrade Fumi Sesi, for joining us from Lagos and for your informed perspective on this very, very important matter. We hope to have you some other time, and bye-bye for now.
Thank you so much.
Yes, Dr. Mutaka, you had Comrade Fumi says it from Lagos. Trendy, right?
Yeah.
That you can't even show your, salary, package in some embassies because it's so embarrassing. Now, forget about going outside the country. Workers, do they go home when they go to work in Nigeria now?
Thank you very much. I think what she said stressed the fact that workers are working typically they are working poor. They are working every day, but they are increasingly becoming poorer. We are now at a time, the popular adage used by the academic staff, universities, before that, my take-home pay cannot take me home.
Yes, and I think I put the question, something like this.
So
yes.
that is the typical scenario we are.
And it's the true picture, because you go to agencies, you go to ministries, you see how workers live.
How workers live. And the second aspect of it, as she emphasized, the removal of this subsidy has multiplier effect on all facets of social life: transportation, healthcare, food system, and of course even education. Price of goods and services has skyrocketed. Many workers now find it difficult to transport themselves to the workplaces. If you look at Abuja now, majority of workers live in the satellite towns. Yes. And we don't have good infrastructure, transportation infrastructure, train, buses. These buses that could cushion the effect of the removal. What we have is typical promises. The government will provide the buses. The government will provide CNG buses that are less expensive. But all this stop at the level of promise.
Pipeline.
They're in the pipeline, so we don't know when they will reach the people. We don't want a situation where people will bust that pipeline. That is the tension.
Workers, do they go to work now? Or some people are just stranded at home? Or when they come to work, they get stranded in the office without going back?
Yeah, workers go to work, but they find it very difficult to go to work. What do I mean by that? The whole salary is spent to transport to work, while some that go to work, they end up sleeping in the workplaces.
Sleeping in the workplace?
In the workplaces. Those that are low income earners, they cannot transport
maybe grade level 7.
They will stay in those offices, work in the morning, then maybe from Monday to Wednesday, maybe to the end of the weekend, then they will return home. This really depicts the gory picture of how the citizens are feeling, and particularly how the workers are feeling. It is in this light this year's May Day was themed People's Past, that government should know whatever policies you are embracing, you should put at the back of the mind people, not profit. People, not the prescriptions of the Bretton Woods institution, the IMF and World Bank, but policies that could be teleguided to ensure universal social protection for all, universal access to healthcare, education, housing, transportation, and making Nigerians and workers to have a strong purchasing power through their currency. And now the liberalization of the exchange rate market has also affected the purchasing power of the currency.
All right. Thank you very much, Comrade Muttaka. We also had an interaction with the Kaduna State Chairman of the Nigeria Labour Congress, Comrade Ayuba Suleiman, to feel the pulse of the state workers on the media celebration and the issues in contention. Here's our conversation. Okay, to start with, what are the takeaways? What did you ask the government, and what did the government told you?
Yeah, as usual, the anticipation is the same. As far as workers are concerned, the most serious issue of contention is the issue of national minimum wage, vis-a-vis the issue of wage award. I think that is the most serious question or aspiration from workers as they converge with us in Murtala Mohammed Square to take the International Workers' Day today. We have took our time to place before His Excellency, because we were lucky he graced the occasion personally with all his commissioners, with his deputy, with all the government officials attended the May Day march past, and we were opportune to place before His Excellency the rest of workers for not a minimum wage but rather a living wage, because we reminded His Excellency when His Excellency the President of Federal Republic of Nigeria, His Excellency Aswaju Bola Tinubu, went about his engineering, he promised Nigerian workers a living wage. I was particularly a living witness to that, because I attended the labor interface we have with his campaign team. He promised us a living wage. So the anticipation from Nigerian workers, particularly here in Kaduna, is not only the minimum wage. We are demanding for a living wage. And His Excellency agreed or attested to that really this administration at the national level promised Nigerian workers a living wage. So it's something we plus on the table, and luckily enough, the governor responded by informing the gathering that yesterday he hosted 19 governors, and part of what they discussed and resolved is the issue of the minimum wage and the wage increase to workers. And today, they are going to have yet another meeting of the 36 governors through their forum under the leadership of His Excellency, the Governor of Kwara State. And at the same time, what we wanted to discuss, or the topic of discussion, the most important one is the issue of living wage, or rather minimum wage, because we are very much where the federal government have set up a tripartite committee discussing now or negotiating the issue of minimum wage, which they have not come to conclusion. So like the governors today from His Excellency have informed us during the May March past that today they are going to have that meeting, and they want to resolve the remaining issues pertaining the issue of minimum wage, so that can refer back to the main committee. They are being represented in the main committee so that they can be there can be conclusion on this matter, because I can remember His Excellency promised us that he want to, from his own angle, start paying whatsoever is agreed upon by the end of this month of May, and really workers were happy with that. Equally, as Kaduna is concerned, we really have remaining issues, some pocket issues of insecurity, particularly in some part of Binungwari, Chuku, and some part of Kachia, and some part of Zangon, Katafkajur, some few local governments, about 6. Of recent, I want to believe you are aware, the issue of the abduction of pupils from Kuriga School. Although they have gained their freedom, but it's an issue that we have bring forth to His Excellency, and to demand for more. The security agencies are doing very well, but we are demanding for more of that action so that we can have peace return to Kaduna and her environments. To God be the glory, His Excellency equally responded to that, and they are doing all that is within their power to maintain peace and order, and to cope the menaces of this insecurity that is still in pockets within the local governments of the state.
All right.
Equally,
not to cut you,
we have this issue with our members.
Yes. I wanted to actually interject by asking.
Can I go ahead?
Yes. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yes, I wanted to interject.
I hear you. I'm with you.
Yes. Okay. How is the minimum wage now in Kaduna? Is it the 30,000, or you are yet to even start benefiting from the 30,000?
Yeah, you know, I'm proud to inform you the former administration was the first to pay minimum wage in Nigeria. So the Kaduna State workers are the first to enjoy the national minimum wage in 2019.
Including those
so we don't have
at the local government level?
Minimum wage
including those at the local government level? What about those at the local government level?
Even at the local government level. But something happened in 2021. We have started enjoying 2019, 2020. In 2021, the administration of Man Nasru El-Rufai, the former governor, removed some allowances from the salaries of local government workers, because then the local government chairman filed a complaint that they are not paid salaries. So he took away some allowances. But what they did is nobody in Kaduna is receiving lesser than 30,000. All workers are receiving 30,000, but the allowances of other senior officers, because you know in salaries you have grade levels and you have steps. What they did, there is no worker in Kaduna, even at the local government, that is receiving less than 30,000. Primary school teachers, local government workers, local government health workers were affected with that policy. But the state workers are still, even as of 2021, receiving the normal 30,000 minimum wage with the consequential adjustment. Despite that it was not negotiated, but it has been implemented in Kaduna State and is up to us speaking to you being implemented. Equally, that of teachers was restored in the last year, 2023. The allowances that were removed for teachers in the local government were returned. What I mean, they are now having their full 30,000 minimum wage. Local government, I'm aware, last year May Day we presented that, and the issue of local government are working. As I'm talking to you yesterday, we were meeting with the Office of Head of Service on health workers, consolidated salary structure, payments for doctors and payments for other health workers. We're thinking of how to close the gaps in the allowances, as I mentioned, that was affected in 2021. So as far as Kaduna State is concerned, we're the first in the country to start enjoying minimum wage, and we have been enjoying minimum wage. Not only that, it is only the Kaduna State pensioners that are receiving a minimum pension of 30,000 per month, only in Kaduna. I didn't know maybe other states are follow suit, but we are proud to inform you that in Kaduna, our pensioners are receiving 30,000 minimum pension, as provided by the law.
Okay, something dramatic happened yesterday when the federal government announced an increment of between 25 and 35% for certain category of workers, you know, in the mainstream federal civil service, police, military, and all that. Did that come to you as a surprise?
Yeah, it came to me. I'm not surprised, because Lagos state governor did that. You know, he increased the minimum wage to 20,000.
That's
after him, Lagos state government followed suit.
Yes.
Then, Edo followed suit. Then Benue Koli made that pronouncement. That labor leader, it took my mind. I was contemplating, is this people playing or trying to manipulate the process? Because we are very much aware the issue of minimum wage is a national issue, because it's in the exclusive legislative list.
Yes, that was Comrade Ayuba Sleman, the NLC chairman in Kaduna State. Yes, Dr. Mutaka, you heard him, but you can see from the conversation, it appears every state is doing its own thing. Are we going to have an acceptable national minimum wage? Do you foresee it coming?
Yeah, that is essentially the anticipation of the trade union movement in Nigeria to have a nationally accepted minimum wage. That is why in the negotiation process, a mechanism is already established where you have the federal government represented, the state government represented, the employers represented by the Nigerian Employees Consultative Association, NECA, and also small and medium enterprise were all represented. So that in the process of conversation, benchmarking, we could have a universally accepted framework that could be able to be enforceable and monitored, and also ability to pay by all the stakeholders. That is the anticipation, to have a national benchmark so that the worker at the lower echelon is not actually exploited. That is the essence of the minimum wage. Is about benchmarking, so that no employer of labor will pay below that wage floor. That is the essence of the consultation, and that is why it is based on a tripartite framework where the social partners are all represented. And in that representation, views, perspectives are all respected. Then at the end, a nationally accepted wage flow will be legislated.
But what is baffling the mind of many people, curious observers, is, there is timeline. The last one was in 2019, and it's supposed to last 2024, right? Now it was in January 2024 that plans to even start thinking of having another one started. And people thought maybe by May 1, Nigerian workers will smile. But many are, describing what happened last year as the highest level of deceit on the side of the federal government. And how strong is the warning by Ajero that you people will not guarantee industrial harmony by the end of May?
That is actually a point of concern by the trade unions and, of course, our members, because the existing minimum wage actually essentially expires by the 18th of April. So by now we would have been having a new minimum wage regime that will be enacted. It's quite unfortunate and quite disheartening to the members of the NLC and of course TUC and all organized workforce, because in the minimum wage, trust is very important in the processes. So there is actually lack of trust in terms of being conscious of the time. So, and of course you have to shift the blame to the federal government for delaying the processes, for not having meetings at when due. These are all account for this delay. So that is why actually part of the key messages in this May Day by the both NLC and TUC is that government is giving an ultimatum that the whole processes should be concluded. Otherwise, beyond that period, the labor movement, the trade union will not guarantee industrial peace. So that government should reconvene those meetings, finalize, then have a nationally accepted minimum wage by all stakeholders.
But are you not worried that Nigerians, and maybe many of workers who put their trust in you, are also losing confidence that you really back, but you don't, bite as a union? Are you getting agitated, or you are not aware that really the people you lead are becoming really suspicious of the leadership?
We have to provide leadership, and in providing leadership, always we keep our matters known to all. That is why we are democratically structured organization. Whenever issues that are pertinent to workers and by extension Nigerians, our organs meet. National Executive Council, Central Working Committee of the Congress meet and make pronouncement and make key decisions that if they are not respected by the government or employers of labor, then we take the next line of action. You could remember 2 months ago our protest, but that protest staged by the NLC is actually in reaction to the flight of Nigerians, increasing poverty, penury, unemployment, and of course insecurity. So and the lack of respect for agreements government reach with trade unions. There are plethora of these instances with the university lecturers, with the workers in the health sector, and what have you. So always we make our demands known. So by that protest also make it known to the public that you entered agreement and you sign series of MOUs, MOS with the government, but at the end of the day, those agreements are not respected. So our protest also called to question those agreements and make it known to our members that we are not sleeping and we are always putting their views, their aspirations forward for government. That is why if you look at the statement made by the president of NLC, they made it that at the end of this May, if nothing is done, and the vice president was there and he had, and we expect him to actually convey that message to the president and to all agencies of government so that the needed things should be done to conclude the process, to have a minimum wage accepted that could really cushion the effect of these bad policies and policies that are not really empowering, and the policies that are actually subjecting the citizens into hardship, poverty, and as well as we can see the consequences reflecting in terms of the tension, in terms of insecurity in the country.
Yes, there are suggestions that the inability of government to actually cater for the civil servants is making useless the clamor for, self-respect, clamor for saner society, clamor for the need to fight corruption head on. That in ministries and agencies, corruption is now the order of the day because it's about survival. So any other person who has the opportunity to exploit, he will do. Those who have the opportunity to steal, they are just stealing left, right, and center. Could that be true?
Yeah, you see, that is why the whole question about worker, we talk about the concept of a decent work. And when you have a decent work, this is a work that guarantees first sustainable income, a work that guarantees safety at work, a work that is actually productive. You are doing the work and you are being productive, and a work that guarantees you to earn a living, and that earning should cater for your needs. So, but if you look at the parameter, what the worker earns does not really commensurate with the energy, the time spent doing that work. So you could see typical of alienation, deprivation from the product he is producing. So another dimension, you could see how many more workers could even earn to buy the product they are producing. So in a nutshell, you could see that there is a correlation between not taking care of the workforce and the increasing spread of corruption, abuse of bureaucratic processes in the government agencies. So the best way to address all those maladministration and abuse of offices, government has to have a rethink to ensure that what a worker earns could guarantee a living. That is why the whole conversation about a living wage. A living wage, minimum wage is just a benchmark that tries to protect workers at the lowest so that they will not be exploited by state or by capital. That is the private employers. But a living wage is a wage that could allow you to access healthcare, to access education, transportation, feeding, and all what is required to live as a human. So that is the minimum benchmark, that a living wage. So if you look at countries that have those living wage, you could see a kind of tendency of less tension and more peaceful coexistence,
more
and
productivity.
Yes, productivity, and you could see even that relates to the level of patriotism about their countries. So all these things, you could see even citizens lack faith about their country. Even they are questioning their identity question. I'm a Nigerian, not a Nigerian. So it means all this taking care of your population is very important. If you want reassured hope, the government is talking about renewed hope. So that hope has to begin from how you take care of your population, of your citizens. That is the real hope. But if people become hopeless, they don't even respect the country they came from, and also the policies of the government. People will just see it as just mere pronouncement.
Yeah, deception.
Deceptions. For example, you could see the vice president at the May Day speech saying that they assured Nigerians they will have a productive future. So we expect those things to be tangible.
That's why I wanted to ask whether his speech is a mere rhetoric, or you have seen substance in what the vice president said on behalf of the president.
Yeah, honestly, we expect much more better than that. He speaks good English, and maybe I may say is less of what the workers expect. We expect something tangible that could
instead of promises.
Instead of promises.
You wanted declarations of sorts.
Things that would really address the existential problems faced by Nigerians by putting
rather than promises.
Yeah, by putting the people first. We should see something really translating into action. If a government that came into power within a month could take a decision to remove fuel subsidy, and we have seen the consequences, even in the capital city, it's a shame to see that you cannot even access, the petrol is not there. We are left to the vagaries of street hawkers of petrol. And that has multiplied effect on all other requirements of subsistence. So in a nutshell, what we need, we want to see more of action. If you could do those pronouncements in a day, prior to those, we should have elaborate programs of social protection that could protect the citizens from these tensions, from this lack of feeling that there is hope tomorrow.
Many Nigerians are now tagging the government for its notoriety for, policy somersault. Do you have time to interact with them? Because you see from, now people are keeping even timeline. Okay, today they will say this, tomorrow they will say that, next tomorrow they will say policy somersault at its best. Can you say the government is really prepared by the time they took over power on May 29, or it was actually the crave for power that they put, in front of them up till the time they found themselves in the presidential villa?
That is why always policy coherence in what we do is very important. And governance is a continued process. We have our own development plan. Government should pursue it to the fullest. Then when government come into power, they come through a manifesto. So to what extent government is really implementing those manifestos, because that is the way citizens could hold them accountable. You say you will do ABC within time frame, or what are the indicators, monitoring indicators that could show that you have achieved ABC within a time frame of a year? Governance is not easy, but assuring citizens and seeing it in action, people could have that credibility and the believability of what government is saying in its own policy pursuits. And for the trade unions, we have a framework that could ensure that our views are heard. The National Labour Advisory Council, which is the framework where government, workers, and employers meet to discuss policies that could really affect and change the destiny of the Nigerian workforce. But all those frameworks, all those forums are no longer meeting timely to discuss those issues. So
and there are allegations that the government actually penetrated the organized labor. People are divided. These are some of the allegations. But beyond this, there is this concern that if you look at the population of workers, it's compared to the generality of Nigerians, is quite negligible. Of course, every worker has family, also has dependents. But people are asking, why are people more concerned about your living wage instead of holding government to account, maybe to cascade governance to the grassroots? For instance, to say government must release funds to local government chairmen. Chairmen must also release money to councillors so that dividends of democracy will get to the grassroots.
So if you are following what, for example, the nature of trade union demands, and even the most recent one, the agreement reached with the federal government, few aspects are really about the workers, while other aspect talks about the larger society, about if prohibition of transportation scheme that could cushion the effect is for all. Reduction in the prices of diesel and other energies that really propel production is for all those that work, and is for all Nigerians.
Including artisans.
Yes, artisans, because we have large segment of the informal sector. It's an obvious thing. And at the same time, our demands around governance are also very clear, having respect for the rule of law. These are the demands that the Nigerian labor movement and of course trade unions particularly have been known to, including even the changes in the electoral reform. We know our views in terms how we popularize the implementation of Justice Way's electoral reform, key recommendations, but there are still some areas that needed to be addressed. So our demands are not purely worker-based or workerist, but of course it's about the whole society, because a worker lives in the community.
Exactly.
So there has to be a relationship between the community he lives and the place he worked.
All right. Thank you very much, Dr. Muttaka Yusuf Abdurrauf, Head Department of Education and Training of the NLC. We thank you for coming to the program and for your informed perspective. Once again, congratulations on Workers' Day. We hope to have you some other time.
So thank you very much. I really appreciate giving this opportunity and look forward to come again.
And viewers, that's a wrap on today's package. We hope you found the conversation engaging and informative. Be sure to join Daily Politics, airing every weekday, and our special package on Friday, during which we open the telephone line for you to comment on national issues. For now, bye-bye from here. I'm Hamza Idris. Once again, happy Workers' Day.